On June 15, 1923, people attending this interview are Connor Newkirk, Louis Campworth, and McKinley Sizemore. His branch of service was the Army Air Force. His highest rank was a T/Sergeant. His unit division was the 5th Air Force. His conflict surgeon was the 345 bomb 500 bomb squad. His battle campaigns were in the Philippines and South China Sea. His medals earned were 3 Air Medals, Good Conduct Medal, and Philippines Medal. His special duties was a radio operator. Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I was drafted.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living at Thousand Sticks, Kentucky.
Why did you choose the service branch?
Well, they wanted to join the Navy. I said, no, I'm with the Army. They didn't have Air Force at that time, so I ended up in the Army Air Force.
Do you recall your first days in service?
First few days, yes, I very much.
Could you explain what it was like?
Yes, I was in basic training in Greensboro, North Carolina, and that lasted for 13 weeks. And it's quite an experience. You get plenty of exercise, and you better know what's going on. So that's a very good. And when they get through with your basic training, you're ready to start being a soldier. Yes.
What did it feel like to know you were going to go off and fight?
I wanted to go. I really wanted to go. That's the truth about me.
How did you adapt to the military life?
Well, real well. I enjoyed it. I really, every young man born, I told her, should have a term in service. It really makes a man out of him. You grow up fast.
Where did you go when you fought?
When I fought, went to the Philippine Islands. That's way across the waters, yes.
Could you tell some of your war stories?
Pardon?
Could you tell some of your war stories?
Yes, I would rather start. You care if I start back going overseas?
That's fine.
Okay. I was in New Guinea, and I went up to Netherlands East Indies, Biak Island, joined my outfit, 345th Bomb Group, 500th Bomb Squadron, with our short time to the Philippines were being invaded. They put us aboard of a ship and took us back down to New Guinea. They put us on a cargo boat, no kitchen, no bathroom, no facilities whatsoever, and we had to live on that boat, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks. When we landed in the Philippines, I was the youngest. As I told you, I'd just joined the outfit, so the rookies get the detail work. They picked me to go ashore, and about 6 or 7 other young men to clean up an area where they could unload the ship and move in. Well, as I said, we went ashore. That night, our outfit, our squad group was in two Liberty ships, both of them cargo ships, loaded with hundreds of men. A Japanese kamikaze plane went through each one of those ships, bomb, pilot, plane and all, and a good number of men were killed. And that was some more experience to see those boys when they came off that, when they went through that detail. I said no bathroom. All I had was a trough overboard with water running one and out over. I guess it's not too bad to tell that. Over and water, and that was it. And the kitchen was called a field unit, and we could go by and see the service sailors eating breakfast. We'd be going there where there's no kitchen, find out a place to sit down on that ship, and it was covered with all kinds of vehicles, war vehicles, jeeps and trucks and so forth. So we had but then from there we landed in the Philippines, and we started flying our combat missions. On my very first mission, 1 out of 6 was shot down. And I flew 7 more, making 8 missions with my crew. And on the 9th mission, I was telling her that I was on detail, working in the orderly room, You have to do that once in a while, and it wouldn't take me off my mission, it wouldn't put me on that mission. I was replaced, and that's the day that my crew was shot down and killed. And so from there on, it's rough all the way, right?
What were your missions that you were talking about?
Our first missions were ground at airstrip, Japanese airstrips in the Philippine Islands, and those rascals were coming over pretty often until we got through with them. We may hit 2 fields in one day, right, going down the flight line, bombing and strafing their airplanes. And it was, as I said, we was low strafers, and they would fill those planes full of holes, but we came out okay. I did, rather, finally made it. Yes.
What was it like fighting and driving the planes and all that over?
Well, my position for the first 40 missions was in the waist of the airplane, and my radio was the side of it, of course, that's the chair to sit in. But once the battle started, went over the target, dropped the bombs. I had a 50 caliber machine gun firing out the left side. I'd empty that machine gun, hang it up, grab the other on the other side, and try to empty it. The only guns we saved the ammunition for was a top turret gunner that was protected from fighter planes. My job was to strafe, and we did strafe those Japanese, right.
So what was your main job?
My main job was I was a radio operator, and that was another thing that saved my life. I was eager beaver, went into the radio shack and started asking questions about operating a radio in combat, and very shortly, I was flight leader, radio man. In other words, I was flying with a pilot that was leading the squadron. Well, a lot of our missions was element of surprise, up over an knoll and start strafing. Well, we'd get them with a surprise. By the time we got over, the poor boys behind us, they got the works. And as I said, we hardly ever lost a flight leader, right.
Can you tell us about some of your most memorable experiences out of all your service in the war?
Well, all of it was absolutely something else. But I was telling her on my last mission that we were instructed to stay low. If we didn't stay low, they'd get us from each side of going down to a valley, and machine guns here, heavy guns on each side rather. So we were flying low, and I was flying tail of that mission, and I looked around. The vertical stabilizers flopping back and forth, but we got caught on a wire. Now that was some experience, I tell you now. And a pilot called up and said, "What happened back there?" I said, "We got our tail cut off." But he made it back to the base, lucky, and as I was telling her, when I walked in that operations office, there my name was on a big long blackboard. I didn't ever see one that much more beautiful, even all my teaching, McKinley Sizemore. United States of America. I knew I was going home.
How did you stay in touch, or did you stay in touch with your family and friends back home?
Well, yes, we had a fine way of staying in touch. Had called V-mail, envelope and writing, place to write, and then when you got finished, you just fold it, and it was that was the envelope, and that they would take that and change that into reduce in size. So the airplane could carry 10,000 of those little letters, and when they got it home, they had to read the small print, but it's pretty hard to read, they said sometimes, yes. So I did stay in contact with my folks. Yeah.
Were you awarded any medals or citations?
Yes, I was awarded 3 air medals. You don't get 3 air medals, you get 1 air medal, then 2 oak leaf clusters put on that ribbon, saying that you had 3 in all. And I didn't put on there, we also earned a Presidential Unit Citation. I was in 6 major campaigns, and you had a ribbon for that was Asiatic Pacific, and for 5 of those, they put a silver star on that ribbon, and then the 1 bronze star made 6. When anybody knew what the medals were, they knew you were involved in 6 major campaigns. And I also earned a Good Conduct Medal. I don't see how I did because I was a bad boy, but I got a Good Conduct Medal out of it. And also 2 Japanese liberation medals, ribbons rather.
Were you ever wounded in the war in any way?
The only wound I got was, I was first mission. I thought you just stand back and, oh, watch me, I'm gonna shoot their tails off. Well, when he went over, they always used what's called evasive action. Up, down, all, when those shells were going off on that plane's nose, they was getting away from them because they have to time those shells. They're timed, and of course, by changing altitude, it's much harder to hit. Well, what I was doing, my head was hitting the ceiling and my feet was hitting the floor. I had no way of holding it except the guns, and the gun was pivot. I mean, they pivot when you move them. And so, a young man that lived near where I did, county adjoining, said, put your toes up under the ledge of the airplane when you're strafing, and put your head into the wall. And that way you can shoot that gun with one hand and hang on, and main thing is if we cross over to the next and empty it, do the same thing. Yes.
What was the food like when you ate?
And in service?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it wasn't anything to brag about, but I had enough sense to eat it. If you didn't eat it, you have to get in tropical jaundice, you'd be a sick boy. So I tried my best to eat it. But when I came home, you could count my ribs by that feeling. I mean, I didn't weigh much over 100 pounds. Yes, right.
How much pressure and stress did you feel?
Pardon?
How much pressure or stress did you feel?
Well, you wonder, standing there, if you hit, will the whole thing blow up? How quick you go? And I tell you what you're doing. You were praising the Lord and passing the ammunition. That was a song we sang back then. Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. Yes, but it was exciting, very exciting. Yes.
Was there anything you did for good luck before you went out on a mission?
I know there's one. I just recall it. But like one of my buddies, he wouldn't make his bed, and his thing was going to come back and make that bed when he got back. But one time he didn't come back. That bed didn't get made. Now he was killed. A good friend of mine. I lost a lot of good buddies over there.
How did you entertain yourself?
Well, a bunch of GIs will they'll do the entertaining. We didn't have very much athletics, but we were busy all the time. But we go to movies, yes. The movies at night. It's interesting. The movies were, we'd be sitting watching a movie, and here come one of those Japanese planes. You could tell a Japanese plane from others just easy. And when you heard that thing coming, we were sitting on a log out in the open, of course. You lay down behind that log till he got over. You wanted protection. Yeah, that was actually, yeah, that helped out a lot. The movies did.
Were there ever any entertainers that came to visit?
Pardon?
Were there ever any entertainers or famous people that came to visit?
Yes. One real big one. I guess it's thousands of people, at least 1,000 there. They come for all the different, they have a show, all the movie, everybody was movie actresses and actors, and they put on a big show for us, yes. Joe E. Brown was one of the main ones that show. I remember him, Joe E. Brown, yeah.
What did you do on leave?
On leave, we'd go down and try to pick up one of those Filipino girls. And I had the best looking one in the bunch. Yeah.
Where did you travel while you were in service? Like, where did you travel around?
Well, if you want to know of traveling, let me take you overseas, going over there, okay? Started out in South Carolina, landed in Texas, then went to Sacramento, California, stayed there for a while, went to Hawaiian Islands, then from Hawaiian Islands to Christmas Island to Fiji Island, these days flights, Fiji Islands to New Caledonia to Australia. That's the way we got there.
Do you recall any humorous events that happened?
Pardon?
Do you recall any humorous events that happened?
Yes, some pretty good ones. No word should be told, not no word, no bad words, by any, not any means. One of the best buddies that worked in the Radio Shack went to the outhouse, and the man, the one that cleaned it, had just cleaned it, and he said, "Well, I'll just here read the paper and light me a cigar and smoke." And he lit that cigar and dropped the match in the joining hole, and they burned them out. And that man and the attendant had just cleaned it, and he saw the inspectors coming, and he took off. And so he didn't burn it out. So he's ready to go with my buddy. And also I remember one of my good buddies. Every time he jumped out of that airplane from a mission, he said, "That's all, brother." He wasn't going back anymore. He was my buddy.
Were there any pranks that you or other people would pull?
Pardon?
Were there any pranks that you or any of your comrades would pull while you're off duty?
Did you pull any pranks or do any tricks?
Oh, I was good for that. I was good. I was always getting somebody in trouble. I guess the one main one I pulled, my engineer had a mustache. And I being a country boy, I didn't care about people growing mustaches. I said, "We're going to cut it off." "You and how many more?" I said, "We're going to cut it off." I went down to the barber shop. I said, "I need a pair of clippers." "What do you want, a pair of clippers?" I said, "I want a pair of clippers." And by the time I went in there, he was about ready to shoot somebody. I got away real fast, but he was always pulling something on somebody, right? You got to do something, break the money. Got to keep alive in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It probably did take away from some of the pressure, didn't it?
That's
Just
right.
to make it.
Yeah. He's a tail gunner. I flew 40 missions in 3 months. And got to be a tail gunner was, we started going all the way to Indochina. That's a long way for that type of plane. And we need to lessen the weight a little bit. So we dropped the tail gun, left him off, and I fly waist radio, got over the target. I'll be back there, the tail, twin 50 machine guns. Out there, yes.
Did you make friendships while you were over there? Lasting friendships, or?
Yes, that was the bad part about it. I know it was like to be in a tent with 6 men, everybody buddies. You look around, all gone but dead but you, and that's a hard feeling to have to pack their clothes and take them down to their belongings and take them down. Yeah, but we were very much, and when we get together on the reunions, you know you had a buddy, good buddy, right?
That seems to be a trend we're seeing in our interviews, that the relationships that were made in friendships.
Yeah, I got to tell you about one of my friends.
Please.
He lived in Virginia Beach, and I knew Virginia Beach, but I didn't know where. And my son lived there also, and we looked everywhere trying to find him, and finally went to a new. They said that's a new development. It's not hard to find, but one man said, "I'll tell you how to get there." So when we went up and knocked, we went, and there he was. Hadn't seen him since the war. At 40 years, I guess. I knocked on the door. I said, "Are you Wood T. Harrell?" "Yes, I'm Wood T. Harrell." See, we changed the looks, you know. "Are you Wood T. Harrell from the 500th Bomb Squadron?" And then he came out. He was so tickled to see me. Yeah. We sat there and talked and talked and talked. I guess over an hour. Way in midnight when I left. And best comment I think I ever got from one of my children. Some people tell a tale and they kind of stretch a tale, you know. You got to make it look big, not me. When we got the car to leave, he said, "Dad, everything that man said was exactly like you've been told us." But he and I had quite an interesting escapade in the tent one day. He was listing all the pilots, naming them, that he would want to fly with. I said, "Somebody's got to fly with him." That's all I said. He said, "You say that again, I'll knock you right through that tent." I said, "Now that's what I like to hear. You come around over and over." And he told Ricky, my son, said, "Nobody messed with your dad." I wasn't a bully, but I had fun. I had fun, yeah.
You're talking about your family. What happened after you came back from the war?
Well, I'll never forget seeing my mom and dad when I got back home. Got back by midnight to go over across that mountain and my brother lived about a quarter of a mile from my dad and mom, and I stopped to see him, and they heard me up there, and here they come. They were about 75, 80 years old at that time. They were running just as hard as they could run, because the word got that I'd been killed, and my two sisters went to the telephone office to pick up the telegram, but it was a misnomer. I was still living. And my mom had that experience that her son was killed. Yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, it was the war is terrible. And I got to tell you one though. When I got those medals, we had what's called S2 intelligence. They wrote up a report what I'd done to earn the medals. The paper there called 1,000 Sticks that I had in Kentucky. They kept it until after the war and gave it to my sisters. Said, didn't think you'd want to pay for this. And that slammed to a man back from overseas with medals all over his chest. And
Yes.
I think if you ever go to the Air Force, you get those wings pinned on you, mister. That's the proudest moment my whole lifetime when that general pinned my wings on my uniform in that parade. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
And then soon after that, you met your wife?
Well, I was engaged to her when overseas, but that's a tale that I shouldn't tell, but I'm going to anyway. She'll kill me. I had about 5 missions to go, and when they dropped you, we called it, Dear John, I sent your saddle home. Well, I got the Dear John, I sent your saddle home. Dear friend, who in the world is this? I wrote her every day of my life, dear friend. Well. Said, I hope you come back alive, make it through your missions. And I sat down, and I wrote her 17 pages. I said, you said you wish I'd come back alive. I think you're going to get just the opposite. And the last sentence I said, I hope I never see you. Now, here tell you again, as long as I live. Came home, got back together, got engaged again, got married, had 7 children. We got a house full of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I'm telling her got a total of 64 in our family now. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
Isn't that amazing?
Spouses of children and grandchildren. And one's graduating every time I turn around. I've got to go to Florida to my grandson. He just moved up to first sergeant. That's how you can go down where he is in the service down in Florida. So we're going to try to go down and see them pin those stripes on him. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Good deal. Connor, can you think of some more questions at the end there?
When your service ended, when you were let go, how did you get back home? Were you on a plane or a ship?
I came home on a boat. We flew over, came home on a boat, and I had a great experience there too. We had a bull session, everybody was talking and talking. One old boy looked, where are you from? He looked at me and I looked at him. I said, your name is Cletus Browning. That's my brother's wife's first cousin on that boat. And he was working with the medics, and he said, would you like to have a quart of milk? Nothing I like better than milk. I said, give anything in the world. He said, if you be here, it's these lifeboats tonight where you can slip in and drink it. I'll bring you a quart of milk. That's the best feast I've had in my lifetime.
I bet.
Yeah.
How did the military and your experiences in war affect your life at all?
I think it had a whole lot. Like I said a while ago, it'll make a man out of you. If you spend some time in the military, get older, and both of them put together, you're ready for the world. That's when I went to college. Would you like to tell me about what school was all like for a poor boy?
What was the honor flight?
Pardon?
He's gonna tell you about his school.
Yeah, school. Let me tell you about what school was all about. I went to Berea. I entered Berea College. To get in the school in the first place, you had to be the upper 20% of the high school graduating class, so they wouldn't take you. And my mom didn't have a penny, my dad didn't have a penny. And my mom went to her brother and borrowed $5. That's all I got to go off to college in. And the bus ticket took about all the $5. And never got another penny. There I was, working my way through college at 15 cents an hour. 15 cents an hour. Total expenses for room, board, tuition, activity fee, laundry fee, everything to do with, for 9 weeks was $39.30. One of the best schools in the country. One of the best schools you ever found. I went to university, and I would say that I had worked three or four times harder at that school to make a grade than you did at the university. But it's all business, all just working hard. About the machine gun I've used, had 50 caliber machine gun on the left side of the airplane and the right side. And I didn't tell you, that airplane had 18 50 caliber machine guns on it. 18. There were 8 in the nose of the plane, 2 on each side of the plane where the pilot sat, and made 12. 2 top turret made 14. 2 waist guns made 16, and 2 tail guns made 18. So we were pretty much of a strafer, wasn't it?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Show them, if you don't mind, the picture that you brought of how close
Yes.
you had to be.
Here's our plane going over a ship, bombing the ship. We'd be right on top of the ship. I mean, right on next to it. We went up in the air. We were strafing.
Tell me that word again. What are you saying? You were doing what?
Strafe. Strafer, they call it strafer. We were strafers. Being forward, let them go, bullets going everywhere.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I didn't catch it the first time.
You see, we changed from that plane was made a medium bomber, but they made a strafing plane out of it.
Who trained you on the weapons? Like, how did you get training? How did you know how to?
Okay, to tell you all about the radio. I'll tell you about my training, which is basic training. We know about that. That's where they make a man out of you. But start with, I went to radio school. By the way, over here at Scott Field. It's Scott Field then, Scared Air Force Base now. It's Army. It wasn't just the Air Force when I was in, but Army Air Force. And I went 6 months to radio school. So after I finished that radio school, I went to Yuma, Arizona for air gunner school out in the desert where they had a place you could shoot without killing everybody. And we trained out there to be a airman in an airplane. And then from there we went to Columbus, South Carolina, and that's where we trained to be airmen, flying in the air and shooting those planes, shooting those guns at targets from the air. By the way, that's where Jimmy Doolittle from Tokyo, that's where they took off from. Jimmy Doolittle. They trained at Columbia Air Base. Yeah. So then from there we went down to Savannah, Georgia, picked up a brand new airplane, brand new clothes, 45 automatic buckled on her hip, ready to go to war. And I told them that journey going over there, yeah, quite a journey.
When you said picked up new clothes, how often did you get clean clothes when you were in service?
Well, that's our business. We had to send them to the laundry, to dry cleaners. That we had to make. We better be clean and better be neat. If we'd have to work. They put us on detail, punish us if we didn't. Keep your haircut closed. Yeah.
How do you think your years of service helped you become a strong educator? Do you see a link between being
yes,
serving
right.
in the war?
What I did learn, yes, you better do what you're doing and be able to do the job right. And that's exactly what you do when you write on an examination. You become adapted. You know what you got to do. You got to earn what you get. That's what I did. Yeah, earn what you get. Yeah.
think that's very good advice. If you were going to give other advice to students of 7th and 8th grade and high school level, what kind of advice would you give them?
Get your lessons. Study. Be the top dog. Beat them.
I heard you telling Connor just how important school was. Even on pretty days when it's nice to be outside, he's still got to
Right.
study hard in school.
Right.
I agree. Can you think of other questions that you have?
Where were you stationed when you shot the machine gun you were talking about earlier?
Well, I stationed all over the world. Let's see, start with have a training in Greensboro, North Carolina. Then came to Scott Field. From there I went to Columbia, South Carolina. We went to Myrtle Beach, so we could straight fly over the beach there in the water and fire those machine guns. And from there we went to, as I said, Savannah, Georgia, and that told them that tale of going over there was something else, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In an antique boat, a cargo boat, that's what it was, a cargo boat. One water fountain near the equator. Big long men being thirsty. When you get a drink, you go right back to the tail end of the line, start through again. Because you knew if it didn't. And the deck, as I said, was covered with equipment, jeeps and trailers and all kinds of things. And you knew where the wires were. If you didn't, you'd have sore shins. Because if you struck a match on that ship deck, you wouldn't anymore. Because they could say the enemy could see a match for miles. Miles. It was up in the air. Yeah.
Was that the reason you were on a cargo?
No.
But
It was inhumane way to treat anybody. It surely was, wasn't it?
It seems like very harsh circumstances.
Yeah,
Yes.
terrible. I tell these boys, the one I was on, I got off one day in a suicide plane, bomb, a Japanese fighter plane, bomb and all, went right through the hull of the ship, blew up the whole works. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you stayed in touch with any of your? You mentioned that you'd visited the one gentleman.
Yeah.
Do you still stay in touch?
Yes, a few, but about all of them are dead now. They passed away. I get a bulletin, pretty often. So many more ago. Yeah, I lost some good ones. I do sure did. But one of them came and stayed about a week with me from Lockport, New York. Came down and stayed with me a week. Yeah, he's my old buddy. His name was Skeets. I always call him Skeetsenberger. Skeetsenberger. Yeah.
How many of your children followed in your footsteps and entered the military? Did some of your?
All of my boys, and that's it. And then one of my son-in-laws was serviceman. Yeah. Bill, as I told you, a fighter pilot and flying now. My next oldest son was in the Air Force, and he was in the Guard also. He was retired from the Guard, and the youngest one was on the Enterprise. He was a radar man on the Enterprise, a very important radar man. He had to make sure those F-14 Tomcats had the equipment to knock down a target if they had to go after it. It's a very important job. Yeah. And they all have government jobs now, and all three of them, income tax is more than I make. And so they're done all right, aren't they?
You've had a very successful life.
Yeah, got a bunch of.
You mentioned before about the amount of men. 100 went out. What happened to you? You had some numbers.
Of every 100 men joined the outfit, 90 of them were killed. 9 out of 10 were shot down and killed. All my crew, I said, killed but me. And good buddies of mine. And that's a bad feeling. Left them, some of them around the bottom of the China Sea.
I think that would have been one of the hardest parts.
It was terrible. Yeah. Left one of them, a good buddy. We thought he was sitting on, got rescued, but I don't know, tire of the plane it broke off with his, but we couldn't find him. Yeah.
He said earlier, Jacob and Faye, that his mother mistakenly had reported that he had been killed, and so his mom went a week? How long did she go thinking that you had not made it?
I think it's near the end of the war. I think it was. That's wouldn't have. Yes.
But then found out that that was a mistake. I think you've had 9 lives, like a cat.
I think I had 9 lives is right.
And then some, maybe.
Yeah.